A multiclimb is an animation cancel. There are two ways to perform one. The most common way is to look parallel to the wall, hold forward and jump simultaneously, then release jump while still holding W and flick into the wall, and then back to parallel. You must release jump 2 frames before you would lose your climb. If you are struggling to flick fast enough or on the controller, you can look at the angle just before you would lose your climb and flick from there instead of parallel from the wall. The most important part of multis is the pacing. It is much more beneficial to learn proper pacing over the amount of multis. There are 3 main paces: delayed, normal, and fast. Delayed multi's biggest advantage is it requires less multis at the cost of height, but it is sometimes necessary. Normal multis are the most efficient at reducing height and distance lost. Multi at the middle of the drop to maintain the same height. The fast multi is best at gaining height, but aim the multi at the apex of the multi for max height. Multiing too fast can cause you to hit your head on things above you. One of the hardest parts of multiing is multiing around a corner. To maintain height and control, you must multi at the very edge, and as you flick away, be sure not to over flick to account for the 90-degree turn. Fortunately, turning 90 degrees inside is much easier. If you are struggling, try to approach it and turn preemptively as to not get stuck in the corner. You can also strafe into it before multiing. Turning around a curved edge is much easier and only requires a slight adjustment. I mentioned earlier that there were 2 ways to perform multiclimb. The other is referred to as a heli, but does the same thing. The major difference is you don't use camera with helis. Instead, you only use jump and forward. To do, look into the wall and jump, then tap the forward key to do a heli. This has benefits and downsides. The biggest benefit is you gain height faster. Many believe it easier to learn as well. The biggest downside, and the reason I refuse to learn them, is that it is much harder to control where you are going as well as being hard to transition into the routes. Now that being said, many skilled GP players are adamant that it is superior, so in the end, it is all preference. I asked Dark, one of the best heli players in GP, what their thoughts were on helis, and they told me this. For beginners, I don't suggest learning helis because it is not useful in most maps. If you do want to learn it, try focusing on doing 1 multi at a time instead of trying to reach a certain number. Obviously, if you lose climb, you are tapping too fast, and if you aren't climbing at all, you are tapping too slow. It is important to go into invincible mode to check the CP. Some common issues people have is stringing multis together or changing pace. The best way is to practice multis in a training room. Learning how far each multi takes you is important, and learning how many you actually need for any given situation. My biggest tip is trying to have fun with it. Sitting in the training room spamming multis is boring. Try to mix it up by incorporating them into other maps, even if it isn't always needed. The way I got better was to do more speedruns, and oftentimes multis are a great way to open up many other routes not possible before. Multis are often looked at as cheesy or a waste of time because it seems hard to do consistently. However, with a little bit of practice, it can make GP much more exciting. I hope you all got to learn a little more about multis. Wish you all luck in your grind.